Hey, I wanted to talk about some things today. There's some good news and some bad news. I want to start with the good news first. The good news is that the channel has grown quite a bit. Obviously, not like a massive amount or anything, but I've gotten a significant amount of growth and increased views on even my, non-Muso stuff like the indie games and, just my random playthroughs that aren't guides or, that don't have any kind of specific goal. And I wanted to thank you guys for supporting all my Dynasty Warriors 9 content. I was not really expecting that game to perform that well, simply because, I was under an embargo and people were breaking the embargo, and then also the embargo was like 2 weeks after the Japanese version came out. The Japanese version had English text, so there really wasn't any reason to wait for the, domestic version unless you really wanted to or just didn't want to import. The game performed really well for me. I've gotten quite a few subscribers. I've been slowly getting more small opportunities like the Soul Worker game and some more stuff on Keymailer, because Keymailer does kind of, I think the algorithm looks at how many views you get. So if you're pulling more views than one of the smaller channels or something, it seems like you have a higher chance of getting some things. So I wanted to thank you guys for that. It means a lot to me. I mean, I just got paid $84 from Curse, which is like unheard of. That's the most I've ever made off ad revenue, and I know that's probably pathetic by today's standards, but it means a lot to me. Hey, I got a pan pizza from Papa John's, and it's going to pay for the majority of my vacation. So I'm glad that you guys like that content. I'm kind of at the point right now where I'm waiting for the season pass. I do not know if I will be able to get that. I talked to Koei Tecmo America's social media rep today, and he said that they need to get the codes from Japan, and it might take some time. Either way, it's only $25, so it's not like my relationship with them is severed or anything. It's just that they may not be able to get the codes. It's only $25, so I should be able to get that regardless. I think people would be interested in that. I know at this point, a lot of the toxic shit posting and hating the game and stuff has died down. The game's been out for about 2 months now, and I think a lot of those people have moved on. That's just how video games work these days. They either they're constantly active. If they're like a fighting game or a service game or something. There's those games are always in the eyes and minds of people, but single player games don't really tend to have that much attention on them for that long. Even if there is a season pass, there's usually a pretty huge drop in terms of the reach and the exposure of the game at that point. So I'm glad that things have gotten more positive. I've been putting up patch videos and feedback videos and my little guides, some of which I got the ideas from other people and I gave credit to them. It's the only fair thing to do. It's just been a more positive environment for that game overall, and I'm glad that you guys are seeing the good in the game. There's definitely a lot that I hate about it. I still think it would have been a much better business decision for them to just simply revamp the combat in 9 and then in 10, make it an open world game. I think that would have been a lot better. They could have used an Extreme Legends expansion, be it through a season pass or Extreme Legends or Empires or something. I think that would have been a better way to declone everybody and then focus on the open world, but I'm sure there were a lot of investors breathing down their neck to make a drastic change, and I don't think it went as bad as it could have. I mean, they could have just stuck the old charge attack system in there, and I think the game would have been really clunky, but they did a really good job with the combat, and I think what people are ignoring or forgetting is that they have made a pretty honest effort at improving that game significantly over the past few months. They've added stuff like the skill resets or respecking your characters. They added the lore gems, which does give some semblance of an end game. However, there's not much to use it on. I hope the season pass will change that, and a lot of other small things as well. I think the game has improved quite a bit, and that's something that I knew would happen early on, because this is not the first time that this has happened. The past couple like major Muso games, those being like Warriors Road 3 Ultimate, Dynasty Warriors 8, and XL. Those games had pretty significant improvements, over the first couple months of release, and they became much better games overall. I knew that would happen with Dynasty Warriors 9. It's unfortunate that the gaming industry right now, they're under such pressure to release these games under deadlines, and they can't finish them in time, and sometimes the feedback is too little too late. I look on the, let me look at the Steam database or SteamDB. Like right now, there's 58 people playing it online, and the reviews are still bad. A lot of that is just because they removed the Chinese support, which is warranted. You know, it is a Chinese themed game, you know, with people who are Chinese and Chinese history. I can understand why people are pissed, but a lot of it comes from the optimization as well, and I think that's a fair complaint. Like, you notice how shitty the game looks in my videos, and that's something I have to do to make it run at 60 FPS and not blow up my computer. Apparently there's supposed to be a patch on the 12th, so I'll definitely be looking into that and see if maybe I can push the settings a little further, and I'll definitely report back on my experiences with that. They haven't really said if this current patch or this upcoming patch is going to involve the optimization, but I'm assuming it will because it's adding the Chinese support and stuff, and they have already announced that there's going to be a patch on that date, so I'll definitely let you guys know about that. In terms of the channel, this is going to be the bad news. I have had quite a bit of decreased morale, and most of that is, you know, none of it is really your fault, really. No one who watches this, especially if you watch these videos with, you know, without gameplay that I do. A lot of it comes from the fact that, you know, I lost some backers on Patreon. I've had pretty immense difficulty in replacing those lost backers, and also I was diagnosed with somatic symptom disorder about a week ago, and that's been kind of hard for me to deal with. It is not fatal. It doesn't mean that I'm going to like grow a third arm or my head's going to explode or anything. What it basically means is that your mind creates pain that's not actually there. Like, you feel it, but it's not actually there. Like, there won't be something physically wrong with you. Like, you can have, like, one common thing is chest pain. You know, you can have chest pain, and I've already gone over this in detail back when my relapse started, but you can be checked. You know, they can check your heart and lungs, they can check your vitals and everything will be perfectly fine. They can even do a blood test, and you'll be like perfectly healthy person. But due to your anxiety and your stress and worrying about having something, that pain can happen a lot. Recently it's come back because I've been under a lot of stress. I've had some other health scares that all turned out fine, but they have kind of worn me down quite a bit. And then I lost those backers, and that's been kind of hard to deal with as well. I do rely on that money a lot to keep the channel running at all. Sometimes I even have to use it for food, simply because you know, I live on SSI. I live on a fixed income. This is you know, I have the two extra sources of income from the ad revenue and then you guys through Patreon, and that's pretty much all I have to live off of, and it's been kind of hard to get people to back me. So I wanted to ask for some feedback. One thing I've never really wanted to do is to do exclusive content. One reason is because, you know, it's kind of like paid DLC or like blind season passes. You know, you're backing me in the hopes you get to see something a day or two early, and you don't know what it's going to be, and it's not fair to the people who want to support and can't. You know, obviously there's not really a lot of money in the stylish action game communities or the Musou communities. There aren't really any people who play those games primarily that you know, make a living off this stuff, let alone make a sustainable income. I'm actually probably making more than a lot of people, even the people who are like really good at, you know, DMC and stuff, that have put like thousands of hours into that game. I'm doing probably better than they are because I mostly focus on guides, and my gameplay is, you know, what you could consider high level, but I do go from game to game a lot, so sometimes I can't always play at a super high level. Obviously with, you know, the Devil May Cry games, those games have suffered from pretty much requiring the PC version to get good at them at all, and even then you have to use a lot of trainers and mods, and it's not as user friendly as, say, like playing a fighting game or playing like practice mode on a service game or something like that. I'm thankful for the position I'm in, but things are still pretty difficult. So if you want to back me, my links are in the description. If you have some feedback, you can go ahead and let me know. I might be quiet for a while, you know, coming to terms with the fact that I've had this somatic symptom disorder for at least 2 years now, or over 2 years. It has been kind of difficult. I've been kind of drained, but there is some exciting stuff happening. I did apply for a code for Dusty Raging Fist. I might get that as soon as today. I'm not exactly sure when it's going to happen. There's a Dynasty Warriors 9 Season Pass. I have been working on Gunvolt on Switch the past few days. That's been kind of fun. I'll probably put up some videos of that. There's a Wizard of Legend coming out at some point. They still don't have a release date for that. I kind of feel bad for them. They're getting so much pressure and shit posting from people. I definitely want to play the game, but I don't know when that's going to happen. And that's pretty much it. There's not really a whole lot going on this month. next month I'm going to be paying for the other half of my trip, which means I have to pay for the car ride and the hotel, and then I have to save a little bit for food and stuff, because conventions are always expensive in terms of food unless you're lucky enough to bring a fridge or something. So I'd say maybe until June. I'm not really going to have a lot of funds to update the channel or kind of have new content for a while. So I hope you guys will understand that. Obviously, if I get the season pass for Dynasty Warriors 9, be it from Koei or I just shell out the $25 myself if they're not able to get the codes from Japan, and that'll be more content that people want to see. But other than that, there just hasn't been anything interesting announced that has like a concrete release date. So I hope you guys will understand. My morale is kind of low right now. Being diagnosed with SSD, which I'm sure you'll probably get a laugh of it. I constantly have a Freudian slip, and I call it solid state disorder. I've been coping with that, and losing the backers, and just working this hard on my passion, and it still doesn't really sustain itself, not as well as it should, considering I've been doing this for almost 13 years now. In about 6 months it's going to be 13 years. It's been hard for me to deal with, so if you want to give me some advice or comment on what content you'd like, I think that would really help me out. I will try to do a giveaway next month. I'll try to find something to buy. Maybe I'll do like a Dynasty Warriors 9 season pass, or like a PlayStation Network code or something. It depends on what happens. As soon as I pay off the majority of my trip, I'll definitely look into that. So if you want to help me, my links are in the description. The rest of the week, or the rest of the most of the spring, is going to be pretty low key because I have all these expenses and I've lost some backers. So bear with me here. I'll try to do my best to work with what I have. Thanks for watching. Peace.